You're listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson, the podcast that tells you what it really takes to build a business and the simple steps to get you there. I'm determined to share with you the reality of easy, simple business marketing tips to make passive income so that you can start making money online. Hello. I'm excited today to talk to you about my favorite subject, which is passive income and how to earn more money while working less time, because isn't that what we all want? So let's dive in. Working less and making more money is something that I thought was a myth. I remember when I was younger, don't know about you guys, I remember my dad telling me that if I wanted to earn more money, then I just had to work harder. And that the more I worked, the harder I worked, the more money I would then make. And I believed this to be true because, I trusted my dad and other people who had said, you have to work really hard to make money. What I didn't realize is that there was a different way and that actually you could work smarter rather than harder, which is what I do now. So going back to how this all started for me and why passive income came into my life, I had started my business, my consulting business this was, and did what everybody told me to do, which was, get clients, get fully booked. And so I did. I was like, okay, if that's what needs to happen, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there. I had a good work ethic and I'm going to get one-to-one clients. And so I started a Facebook group and I was going live every day and I was getting these one-to-one clients. And quite quickly, within the first 6 months, I was making quite a lot of money. I made £100,000 in the first 6 months in profit. So that was quite good. And while doing that, I was working all of the hours that God sent. So there I was thinking, I'm going to run my own business. And when I run my own business, what I'm going to do is spend loads of time with the kids and I'm going to travel and nobody's going to make me come in and do things that I don't want to do. I'm never going to have a boss again. And that's how I thought it was going to be. And in reality, I gave up my 9 to 5 and was working from like 6 a.m. till 11 o'clock at night sometimes on my business. And while I did enjoy my business, and so it didn't always feel like work, it was still time that I wasn't spending with my family, wasn't going out with my friends, wasn't doing some of the other things that I really wanted to do, like traveling. And so I knew that something was going to have to change because although I was at this like 6-figure mark, which was great, I kind of thought, if I ever want to earn more money than this, and I was kind of ambitious, I wanted to earn more money than that, how was I ever going to be able to? Because the one thing that I can't get more of is time. Like I had little 5-year-old twins. I can't get more time because if I have more time, I'd be spending it with them. So I'm not going to be able to do any more of this. So how will I ever make more money? And I realized that this time for money business model wasn't for me. What I didn't know is what else I could do. I'd just come into business like everybody else and was doing all of the things that I'd been told to do and that I'd seen other people do. And so then I was like, well, okay, I need to look for a different business model that supports the life I want more. And so for ages, like 2 months, 3 months, I was thinking that, but not really knowing how to find it or what to do, and how to scale this business. And I did a really bad thing in between this. I forgot to pick up my kids from school. I've gone past the guilt of that now, but at the time it was their first week in a new school because we'd moved house, and I got a call from the headmistress it was actually, that was very sexist of me, the headmistress, and she said, are you picking up the kids today? And I'd been so busy working on with my one-to-one clients, trying to get everything done that I just forgot. And so mortified, I went and picked them up and knew from that day that I wasn't going to do one-to-ones anymore. I was going to do less of them. I didn't know how I would make up that income or make more money, but that's what I was going to do. And we probably haven't all left our kids at school, but we've all done things that have shown us that we need more time in our lives. And that was my wake up call. And so I was then listening to a podcast. And on this podcast, they were talking about passive income, and the two people that were hosting it were arguing with each other. One was saying that it existed, and one was saying it was a myth. And I'm a sucker for anything that's a debate or, any kind of controversy. So I started listening to the stuff about passive income. And if I'm honest about it, I was immediately on the side of passive income doesn't exist. And in my head, when I thought about passive income streams, I thought that meant multi-level marketing, scams, all these different things in my head, because that's all I'd known it to mean. My dad used to run one of those multi-level network marketing companies when I was younger, and he lost a lot of money on it. So in my head, that's what I thought it was. And so then I looked more into it, and I went down a bit of a rabbit hole of looking at all these different kinds of passive and semi-passive income streams and thinking, well, which ones could I do? And I learned everything. Like, I really went into learning about all the different types. First, I looked at drop shipping, then I looked at affiliate marketing, looked at stocks and bonds and property, all of these different things. And then I had a look at like the more close to home things like memberships and courses and how could that work? Online workshops and events, things that were just not passive, but semi-passive. And so I started adding these income streams into my business, like over the next few months. And it probably took about 8-9 months. And I was learning things, adding them in. Anything that like wasn't working for me, I would discount. Anything that kind of worked, but I thought could be done better, I would change and do it better. I would think of new methods, new ways of doing things, until I got to a point where it seemed like I was working a hell of a lot less and earning more. And at the end of year 2, we sat down and like had a look at how much I was earning and how much I was working. And it was so different. If you looked at me at the end of year 1, I'd earned a bit more money by the end of year 1 because I'd put my prices up a lot. So I was probably earning 220,000 in revenue. This is not profit by the end of year 1. And I was working 80 hours a week. And 80 hours was too much. Like, I wasn't doing anything else. I was just working. But at the end of year 2, I was working 30 hours a month, not even a week, but a month. So I had all this time back because I'd given up all of my one-to-one clients. And instead, I was doing all these passive income streams, and I was earning over £1 million in revenue, £1 million in revenue. And so for me, passive income was the way. And I became really passionate about it because I saw lots of my clients who were doing the same as me. They were starting these businesses, doing what they'd been told to do and not really getting where they wanted to be very quickly at all. And also finding it really a struggle. And lots of them were doing what I did, which is getting burnt out, having to spend weeks in bed because they were so shattered and not spending time with their family and friends and thinking, hold on a minute, this having a business stuff isn't really all it's cracked up to be. This isn't what I signed up for. And there I was, knowing that there was another way, that it didn't have to be this way. But I was coming up against quite a lot of obstacles because people, just like I had in their head that passive income meant something else or wasn't real. And if we're honest about it, if we're truly honest about it, I would love for it not to be called passive income. I do think that term makes people believe they never have to do anything and money just appears from somewhere, which obviously isn't true. If that was a thing, if it is a thing, can someone tell me about it? Because I would like to do that. But it isn't a thing. What you have to do, all passive income is really, is growing an asset or building an asset up front. And that asset could be a spare room, or it could be a course, or it could be something else. And then making money from it time and time again without having to put your time in. So the way I always explain it is the spare room analogy, where you have a room, you paint the room, you make the room look nice, and that's you building the asset. You're doing all the things, you're marketing the room. And then from then on, you make money because a tenant goes in there and pays you every single month for living in that room. And you don't have to do anything else because you've already built the asset up front. And that's the same with all passive income streams. You build an asset up front. Now, that asset could just be an audience, and we'll talk about that in a later show, but it could just be building an audience up front, and that's your asset. So depending on what it is, you will have to do some work. And usually it's quite hard work at the beginning, but it's totally, totally worth it. Because if you're only ever trading time for money, Warren Buffett once said, if you trade your time for money, or a variation of this, I won't get this exactly right, but he said something like, if you're only trading your time for money, you'll work until you die, which I can see is completely true. Because, normally in a business, you pay, somebody does something and then gets paid for it. Let's say I'm a branding person or a website designer. You make somebody's website and then you get paid for it. You do somebody's brand and then you get paid for it. It's always your time. Whereas with passive and semi-passive income streams, it doesn't have to be. And there are so many different types. But what I realized was the easiest types is to use your knowledge, because your knowledge is not common knowledge. So things that you know about, other people will want to know. If anyone's asked, can I pick your brains about anything in life? And this doesn't have to be anything businessy, it could be something completely different. Then it normally means you have something that you could have a passive income stream on, because you could sell a course on it, or have a membership, or an online workshop, or a group program, or any of these things, an ebook that means you're just getting your knowledge out in a way that people could buy. And we really do get to decide how we work, which is another thing that I came up against when I started teaching people how to make passive income streams, because there would be other coaches out there saying things like, you have to do one-to-one first. And some of them were saying you have to do one-to-one for 5 years. You have to do one-to-one to understand your client. You have to do a one-to-one business model until you become the expert, and then you can do these passive income streams. And I just found it to be completely untrue, because we get to decide the business model we want for our business, because it's our business. So we get to say, and I have lots of clients now coming to me that have never done a one-to-one in their life. They never will do a one-to-one in their life. All they want to do is courses and things with lots of people. I call it the one-to-many model. That's what the name of my program is, one-to-many, because it is literally about going from one-to-one to one-to-many and freeing up your time doing things that way. But there are so many ways you can do it. And I have a system which I trademarked called the CASSH system, because what I realized was every time that I was helping people make passive income from things like courses and memberships, or ebooks even, or group programs, I was doing exactly the same thing. I was following the same steps that I had done in my own business, and that's what I was teaching them to do. And so I trademarked this system. I called it the CASSH system. And now that's how I teach people. So I'm going to just go through that system with you today, so that you can get started and you can start thinking about whether a passive income stream is right for you, and start putting in place the steps that you will need to do to get there. So if we start from the C of the CASSH system, that's just about client. That's just about your customer. And what that means is you have to understand exactly who you want to serve, who you want to help. And that might be somebody that's completely different. If you have a business already, could be completely different from the business you have. It could be like something you've not even thought of until now, because you didn't know you could make passive income out of your knowledge. You need to know everything about that client. And instead, at the beginning of thinking, oh, I really would like to do a membership, or I'd really like to have a course, I would love you to start with thinking, who do I want to help? Because if you know that bit, you're halfway there, because that's the hardest bit. Who do I want to help with whatever I put out there? Because then they'll tell you what you need. Instead of you going out there and trying to work out what people might need, your ideal client will tell you what they need, and then you can create that for them, knowing that they want to buy it because they already need it. So work out your ideal clients. That's the C. Then go on to the A in the CASSH system, which is audience. Once you know who your ideal client is, you can then grow an audience of those people somewhere, wherever you want. I like doing that on an email list and a Facebook group, but lots of my clients have lots of different places that they like to nurture an audience until they need something from you. So once you've done that bit, so you've worked out your ideal client, you know who that audience is, and you've grown that audience, you're nurturing that audience, you're giving them great value, you're inspiring them, they're getting to know you as well and your personality, because as we know, people buy from people that they like. So they need to know they like you, which is hard to do if you don't grow an audience and show them who you are. The next step is to look at the systems and structures. And what I mean by that is like how you want to deliver whatever it is you want to deliver. Let's say you're doing a course. How do you want to deliver that? I'm a video girl mostly. I'm only just getting involved in audio here. So, normally I would do a video. I might do a workbook or checklist that goes with it. But some people hate video, and that's okay. You can do things your way. There's no prescribed method that you have to impart your knowledge on. Courses could be done just even on an email once a week, if that's the way you want to do it. And if that's the way your ideal client likes to receive it, then that's the way that you can do it. Think about like the structure and the systems that you're going to use as well. So the tech side of things, like There's all these different systems out there now that will hold your courses, that will host your membership. So have a play with them and decide which ones are right for you. And then you can go on to the next S. There are 2 S's in my CASSH system. I would have loved it if I could shoehorn all of this information into 4 letters, but I could not do it. And so it's CASSH. And the second S is all about selling. This is the most important bit of the whole thing when making passive income, is that you know how to sell. And when you have an online business, that means launching. So you know how to launch your product or your service. And this is the bit people get wrong the most. They go out there and they say, I built an audience and I did this great course and I put the course out there and nobody bought it. And when I ask them how they launched it, often it's, nowhere near enough of what they need to do. They might have written a couple of posts about it or an email. Launching is a whole strategy in itself. It's 6 to 12 weeks usually, and there's a lot to it. And we will talk about launching in another episode because it's really important that you know how to launch well. And so launching, once you've done that bit, we come on to the last step, which is happiness. And what this means to me is keeping your clients happy, because like we just talked about, the first time that you have an income stream that's passive isn't passive, because you're learning how to grow your audience and you're learning how to launch and you're writing the content for your course and doing all of these new things. It's only the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th time that it actually becomes very passive, and you don't really have to do anything because you're using the same marketing that you've already done and the same emails, and you're using the same content and the same presentations and the same workbooks. That's when it becomes passive. But you won't get to that stage unless the clients you've already had rave about you. Not just like, okay, but they need to rave about you, because if they do that, then you won't have to spend money on things like Facebook ads to get clients. Your audience will go out and do it for you. And for me, I didn't spend any money on Facebook ads. I played around with it a little bit, but it didn't get me any clients, put it that way, until I got to 7 figures. And then I started properly with Facebook ads, not just playing around, because I lost quite a lot of money in the first year in Facebook ads. That's a story for another time. And so I was a bit scared of them. So I didn't want to use them. So instead, what I did is made sure that my clients were really happy, so that when they went away and told other people, I would get more clients. And the way to keep them happy is to make sure that you are giving them the result that you promised, whatever that is. So for instance, if you're doing a course, like I have my one-to-many program, and I promise them that I will tell them everything they need to do to start making a passive income stream. So when I saw that they were having trouble, like on module 2 or 3, then I said, what do you need? And they were like, we're really having trouble with the tech side of things. So next time I added in a bespoke funnel for each person, so they didn't have to stress about that anymore. And it would get them further along in the course, because most people don't finish any kind of course or program. And I wanted everybody to. And so then when they got stuck in module 8, and when I asked them why, they were like, well, life gets in the way. Motivation goes down, which it does when you're doing a course. It can be really hard. And so I gave them accountability pods to help them get to the end. And so now more people get results because I put those things in place. Could I have easily not and just gone, well, you've bought it, go ahead? Yeah, of course. And lots of people do that. You've bought it, tough, that's it. But I don't think that's the right way. I think that you should try everything you can to get your clients the results, not just for them, of course for them, but not just for them, but because if you do and they get results, they will tell other people about it and more people will come and work with you, which is a really good thing for you. It's a win-win situation here. So that's the CASSH system. And if you follow those 5 steps, you can start making passive income and, start having the life that you really wanted when you thought about having a business. It's changed my life completely. I now travel a lot of the time with my kids, who are now 9, my twins, and my husband. And I have a business that's scalable because it doesn't matter about my time. I can put more people into a course. I can put more people into my membership, into my programs. So there's no way that suddenly there is a capacity on how much I can earn. And I want that for so many more people. So hopefully this little chat on how it started for me and how you can start making passive income will help. I will be back in the next few modules to go a bit deeper into each of those steps so that we can talk about how you can do the same thing. Thank you for listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson. If you'd like to get hold of my guide to launching, go to lisajohnson.com/launch and let's get you making money online.